This might be a new segment, this might be a one-time thing, but who knows? Let's see how it goes. But I am bringing to you the first SAG second. Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy SAG Glitch, aka SAG. Today, I thought I'd take a second and connect with you guys, talk about something that actually was brought to my attention this past week while doing a SEL lesson while teaching my students. As you guys know, I'm a teacher. When I don't do this stuff, it's my job, it's my profession, something that I do that I love. When we went over some things, it kind of made me think, kind of give me like an introspective or retrospective like thought process in my head as I was talking to the students about the same things. I really thought to myself and thought about the things that this relates to not just this year, but every year, but especially the fact that we've been away from society and society hasn't gotten to the norms that we're used to. So I just kind of want to take a second and break this down. This is maybe a new segment. This is something different. And I'm labeling this a SAG second. And yeah, I know what you're saying. SAG, a second goes like that. But the fact is, I need a second to break down, to process some things, to talk to you guys about things maybe is going on, to update you. This might be a new segment, this might be a one-time thing, but who knows? Let's see how it goes. But I am bringing to you the first SAG second. What I'm going to be doing with this is taking a second to explain things, taking a second to, give my thought process, and basically connecting with you guys on things that are not really life-changing, but perspective kind of thing that you guys can input your stuff with as well. As you can see, I'm in the gaming office area. One good thing is you can see right now SAG swag is here. This is a shirt. It's starting to actually fade and it's kind of saddening because this is like my favorite design that I've done so far. So I'm definitely going to take a second. If I get a couple of goals that from my resolution videos that I put out there, if I get a couple of goals hit, might get a couple new shirts and go from there. It might be like my incentive to keep going. Let's get into it. Talking about this, I was telling you guys I did a lesson on SEL. It was an SEL lesson. What that stands for is social and emotional learning. Students, I teach middle school, so again, they are transitioning from a young kid to a young adult, and it's time that they need to understand what certain things go for, how to deal with certain issues to kind of get them ready into adulthood. Because I treat 8th graders or 7th graders who are in my class as high schoolers, just to kind of help them with the transition and help them become more mature kids as they get older. What we focused on in the lesson was stress. And, the stress is any kind of reaction your body has to a new or threatening or just a new kind of situation. Certain things can lead to anxiousness, certain things can lead to long-term stress, certain things can lead to depression. And guys, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not someone who studies this stuff for a living. What I do know and what I can tell you is things I know for a fact, things I know that I have dealt with, and things that you might deal with and how to help. So the learning goal of that lesson was to help students identify what stress is, to help them identify what the stressors in their life may be, and then help them identify one or more coping strategies to help them deal with these stressors. When we talked about it, I asked my students, what's some stressors that you guys have in your life? And a lot of them being the new year, a lot of them just being the first week of school. They obviously said school, homework, classwork, tests, all that good stuff. Some of them took the time to actually say in their life what some of the stressors were, and a couple of them actually had a really good answer with, even though their parents may not mean to put some stress in their lives, their parents are stressors in their lives. Like I had students say my mom, my dad, my parents during a sporting event, parents during a certain event. All of those are good answers. There's no one answer as to what your stress is. I mean, I'm a grown adult. My life is pretty good, but at the same time, I have a lot of stressors in my life, but some of which are created in my own head. Others are just stressors that can't be stopped because of the kind of work that I do. So let's talk about that first, and then talk about individual stressors, and then how to cope with them. I'm a pretty high-strung guy. I'm I try to be laid back, but I would be lying to you to say I'm calm as a cucumber. Certain things I expect, certain things I want. In order to get those, I put a lot of pressure on myself. Some stressors as a teacher that we have are the lessons going to work, especially right now during COVID with us doing it through the computer and doing it through technology. Is the technology going to work? Are the kids going to have enough internet bandwidth to use? Are the teachers at school going to have it? And is everything that I do prepared enough for the students? I try to, as a teacher, I try not to overthink things. I try to worry about the things at hand. I try to help the students as much as possible, but sometimes it's not enough unless the people are face to face and are able to ask you questions. For the most part, most of my students have been logging in. What it is a conference, it's a chat. They're able to ask questions or state help or whatever as the thing goes, and I'm able to look at the chat as I present them the information, but we haven't even started math yet. We just started the basics of schooling, the what to expect, the class rules, the syllabus, all that good stuff. Fact is that we haven't even started getting into the nitty gritty of things, and we're already having some technological issues. On top of that, new to the school, so learn the operating system that the entire county uses, learn how to create my own course on the operating system, and then create the homework and classwork that's on that. So that it's difficult. I mean, I know the information front and back. Like, I can literally sit there and teach left to right, up to down, forwards or backwards. I can teach all the information. I know the content, but how can I get the content to where the students understand it? How can I reach out to students and parents when they need the help? You can just hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So with that, it's a lot of like extra videos, which students will have to take on their own responsibility and check those boxes that they need help with. They will have to do the work and ask questions accordingly. And some of these kids, unfortunately, are just crippling. They are just crippling introverted, and they won't ask questions no matter who's there, if it's just me and them. And sometimes you have to reach out to those kids, and without seeing them in class, without seeing them in person, you won't know who those kids are until it's almost too late. I tell the kids, don't stress about stuff that you can't control, but in all reality, subconsciously, you're going to worry about it. Some of the stressors in my life, health, especially mine right now personally, I've been dealing with some issues. You guys saw last week's video, the only one that I put up, explained to you where I've been, what I've been going through. Gout still isn't technically completely out yet, but I've been drinking like a crazy man to get it flushed out of my system. Living with the in-laws, as easy as they make things, it's still difficult to be here. Not because of them, but because of who I am and the pressures I put on myself and not wanting to rely on other people. Unfortunately, I take that out on the wrong people, and I hate that. I wish I could change it, but again, it's talking about how to cope with it. Wanting to do the best and be the best always in everything I do, whether it be gaming, whether it be teaching, whether it be as a person. I continue to try to change. I continue to do things and try to take the step forward, but sometimes you take those steps back. Fortunately, you hate letting other people down. That is like my biggest disappointment, is letting people down. I hate being that guy. I hate having others rely on me and me not being able to perform. And so sometimes I let that get the better of me, and I treat others poorly because of that. I worry about my parents, being away from them, living in Florida and not being able to see them every day. We do have our weekly phone calls. We have whenever we need something or say something, we always talk, but it's still not the same when you're not able to see them but about 3 times physically in a year. FaceTime does help. I love my parents to death. I'm an only child, and I do have a very close relationship with them, even though it's a love-hate relationship sometimes. I still love them to death always. Sometimes it's just not enough. Other stressors, my dogs, who I am, how I can get better, how I can be better, how I can help out. So talking about that, that's just some of the things that I go through. It used to be football, it used to be sports, it used to be all that stuff. But now that I'm out of that problem, less worried about things that don't pertain to me and more worried about the things that are. If you guys have bad habits, I have very bad habits of eating my fingernails to help me kind of deal with the stress. I know it's nasty, I know it's an issue, but it's just something that helps me control my worries. It helps me kind of get through some of the things. I was talking about stress and how things that you can stress about daily for months or weeks or even years feel like they become normal. Unfortunately, I am a chronic stressor. there's no one or nothing that can help me with that as far as like what I do right now. There's nothing that I do that helps me. So I need to take a couple minutes to myself. I need to start meditating, maybe writing stuff down, maybe going through the things in my head. There's a lot of coping things that could help you with this situation. And then I ask you as audience, or I asked my students at the time, what are some things that you have to deal with? How do you deal with stress? What causes stresses for you? And they all did a really awesome job telling me, opening up with not only just me, but their classmates around them. And I use that to help build them up. My family here, my in-laws, my wife, my dogs, they all help me get through things that are a little bit tough for me to get through. Ultimately, I am happy. It's sometimes you just focus on the negatives and it doesn't feel like it, but ultimately I'm happy. Ultimately, I have a great life and I have a lot of people to thank for that. It's sometimes hard to have to deal with some of those stressors, and it's kind of hard to overlook them at times. Let's talk about coping mechanisms. What are things that you can do to get better? Well, there's, like we said, there's meditation, there's breathing exercises. I have an Apple Watch, and like when my heart rate goes up or it feels that I'm stressed, it tells me to breathe. I click the little button to start it. It's like a 1-minute exercise that the watch tells you what to do, and it tells you your heart rate afterwards, and then just focuses on the breathing. And when you breathe in, it has a little vibrate, and then when it tells you to breathe out, it stops vibrating. You go. You'd be surprised how well that actually helps calming your mind. Telling the students you have to physically allow yourself to stop worrying about things. You have to control what you think of. Other things are like writing, journaling, listening to music, working out, and usually a walk or don't run, but a walk or a workout would get that out of my system. But with my health being the way that it is, I can't just go out because I don't want to take a step forward and then have to take 15 steps back because I didn't wait long enough for it to get out of my system. This is no joke, and I hate bringing it up every time, but it is literally no joke. Think about the things that impact your life. Think about the things that causes you stress. Think about how you deal with those stresses, and then think of even better ways that you can deal with it that you might not have thought of before. Let me know in the comment section how you guys feel, what you think about this video. If you want, you can share your stresses. You can share how you get it, if it's how you get rid of them, if it's something different than what I've listed out. This is just a little thought process that I'm going through. It's a retrospective topic of what I covered in my class on Friday. So it was really awesome to see all the things that my students can come up with. If they're able to come up with a lot of things, I'm sure you guys as the audience members, if you're still here, can come up with even better stuff. I appreciate you guys taking out the first SAG second. Appreciate you watching all the way through if you did. If you have, tell you what, comment SAG swag and I'll see what I can do for you if you're interested in the SAG swag. I know a couple people might be. I might be able to help you guys out with some of that. Maybe not a giveaway, but maybe like a buy it and give you like a little percentage off of what I paid. Anyway, we'll figure that out when we come. Hashtag SAG swag in the comment section. Tell me what your stressors are, how do you get rid of them, and what other things do you do that I haven't listed off. I'm going to let the outro take here. As always, happy Monday to you, happy week to you, happy year to you, and I hope things get better for you if they're down. I hope things continue to be great if they're awesome. Leave a like if you did, comment if you want, subscribe if you haven't. I'll catch you guys next